Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris Ormy, and we are playing Status Order 7 once again. This is a new save, and we have gambled a ton. I have not seeded this with any previous transfer files. I've done that in the past. I thought I'd start legitimately from scratch in terms of the horses we have and the breeding program, etc. I did gamble, which is in game, um, to get a ton of money, and it's not too difficult, so you can basically save the game, revert to a backup, and go to an earlier version of that save, the previous save. So at any time when you save, that's the save game you load, but there's also an option to revert to backup, which will be the one save previous to that in the same slot. So you can kind of see, you know, a bunch of winners for the next few days, and the races are random, and I don't keep reloading. If I get it wrong the second time based on the first lot of information, then so be it. But I went forward a week at the beginning of the game and just literally noted down every winner that was 3 furlongs or more in terms of distance to second place. So if they won by at least 3 furlongs, I would write down the the day 1 to 7. Got a little spreadsheet 1 to 7, which race and which horse, and then I would just basically go all in. I unloaded the save again, back to that first day of the save, and then went through each of those first 7 days and just went all in terms of the money that you start the game with. The 300 and I think it's 340,000 because I started on the easy version with simple training. So I think you get 340 for easy dollars. You'll I don't know. I think you might get five. No, what would it be? Would it be £250,000 maybe? That sounds kind of right, maybe for easy, and I don't know how much you get elsewhere if you choose a different difficulty. I always play on easy with simple training mode, and I pretty much always take money out of the equation because that's not the interesting part of the game. I don't want to struggle for 10 years just because I just randomly haven't been assigned a good horse at the beginning that I can win prize money with to like kickstart anything. And I don't like just randomly trying to pick up really cheap horses and seeing if they're good for breeding and just like spend 10 years. Like I find that quite soul destroying and save scumming to get a good horse at the beginning just from the random horses you're given. I think again it's less if you have higher difficulty. At least it's 5 if you do it on easy, but I don't really enjoy playing that way either. So I had an okay run. I think it was a 3-year-old to begin. This 3-year-old colt was okay, not great, but could like I pushed him to the point where he actually won a grade 3 by age 7, 6. Yeah, I think 6. Um, and I put him in a breeding barn with um, a horse that I bought like fairly early on for like 500k. So really, if I'd only get a million, I could have like completely bought out because I think it's like 500,000 for the entire facilities, somewhere around there, and then 500,000 for that horse, and then just bred them together. Start season 2, I'd have one sort of what turned out for me to be a half decent horse. Um, so yeah, like it's all gone forward from there. Right now, I've got a bunch of horses. Some of these have been bought, some of these have been bred. I think everything here. Yeah, Simple Rhythm was mine. Latour, that one was bought. Were these? Yeah, these were both bred. You can see if they're bred in the top right or not, because if they're bought, you'll see the date and the price you paid. So, like this one was only 500 grand as well. They're all decent horses. We'll go through them, but most of these will be horses that I've actually bred. Um, and that's kind of the point now we're getting to. We've got a breeding stock of pretty good horses, not like amazing in some way. There's a bug at the moment as well. I don't know. Um, yeah, they're like locked in to breeding with a horse that was in the breeding barn last season, but I before the end of the season, I retired from the game, and I think that maybe has locked them into place. It may also be the fact that I've got a large database of races here, where instead of going to November, it goes all the way through the year. So it's a complete 364-day um, calendar. So yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like really, I don't know. Well and truly, I'm not sure on why that happens, but it's happened. But we do have a breeding program. We've got some yearlings in now, and you can see again, all of these are my fillies. Tawny Waters, Villa de Sol, Officer Lily, Craigross, and Above Perfection are all mine. And then these are some of the best horses I've found in the game and like bred from. That are, they have some distance. They seem to be winning good races or placing really well as well in grade one. I mean, so Safari Team is decent. Sesame Rambler is also pretty decent. Should have like possibly another 4 grade 1s. So only 1 grade 1 there, but second in another 4 races. Five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and third in that one. So with a little bit of luck, you could have been looking at a 7 grade 1 winning horse. So that's kind of something else I look for. Not just the grades they've won, but you're looking at the breeding distance. You're looking at where they actually did race, and you're looking at the close finishes. So like in the money here in this one and that one. Top 3, top 2, like you almost count them as group 1. So Eve's Era is pretty much the best I have found. I've bred from a lot. And then Kikos I really like because of high breeding and racing distance. And again, there's a lot of second and first year in a lot of these races. So I'm pretty happy with that. You can see, almost won the Breeders' Futurity. Third in the Breeders' Cup Turf as well. So some big races, 2 miles. Almost kind of got there. Second place in that one. Breeders' Cup Turf for a 3-year-old and above did really well. So there's a bunch of these horses. So we will go through everything in terms of the horses we have. I do want to note as well, my apprentice jockey is pretty good, not great. There isn't much of a need to use him. I want to have one just in case, but I really don't like running them. The £7 allowance is a little bit weird at times, and then my jockey that I hired at the start of the game, 8 stone 1 ounce, 1 ounce, £1, and he's just fantastic. And that was a day when I did have a different apprentice, but I realized that I kind of just, when I started the game, I just hired the lightest one because I was gonna start like getting a bad horse and trying to like scum it to a grade 3 win with like a £7 allowance, and see if that helped. Just try and find a race where everybody is sort of lowish weight or highish weight, sorry, and like see if we could get one of those. But I decided not to, so I didn't use the other apprentice. But Calvin's been with us day one, has won a lot of big races, and has done a lot of good things as our jockey. So I'm very happy with that setup. Before I jump into the horses I have, I want to jump into these. So the first horse I had that was worth anything, which was one of the ones I bred. This was the second horse I think I bred that I ended up keeping. Was Bertarella. Very good. The first one that got 5 Group 1 wins. And at the end of the 3-year-old season, I thought, let's just, let's just retire her to the transfer file to seed a future game, since we're starting our transfers from scratch. And yeah, she's not amazing, but she's good enough. Bobring is a 2-year-old with good breeding indicator and laid back trait, some good stats. And then Ancient Secret is a very good statted horse that just I never got to run well. Really couldn't get her to win races. So again, end of the 3-year-old season, or even the end of the 3-year-old season, the start of the middle of the 3-year-old season when I knew the Derby wasn't on the cards. We put her in the bag, and then a cumulus revenge against 7 Group 1 wins by sort of mid to end of their racing season, really. There wasn't too much else I thought they could win at a mile. It's a couple of big foreign races, but they were tough towards the end of the season. Even though they've won consistently abroad, it's not in the high profile races in general, apart from the Yasuda Kinin, which is the biggest race they won. That was a small field, I think. Was it 8? No, 8 ran. Okay. I'm not sure. But, like, it just didn't feel good, so I thought put him in here. And again, you know, they'll be decent seeds for a future game if I want to just play to see what I can get to. And Rhythmic Squirrel as well, you know, got basically into the same range as they need to be, but just not the same class to like really challenge for a Triple Crown race, which is our goal, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. And that's a mile 2 for the Derby, a mile 1 and 55 yards, I think. Or is it? No, it's 110 yards for the Preakness, and then the Belmont is a mile 4. So we need a little bit of adaptability in range. So we kind of got up to range, but we weren't good enough for me to run because we wouldn't even hit top 5. I think probably not even top 8, maybe. So again, into the breeding barn would be a really nice horse to seed. So we got some options. We do have some options. So that's kind of what we're working with. Apart from these horses, which we will go through as we're booking races, and I'll explain my kind of strategy and thinking on each horse as we kind of go. At least for the 4 and 3-year-olds, because the 2-year-olds, they're all getting booked into maidens, and I have no idea what they're going to turn out like. But I've got an idea about some of these. So, yeah, you will also see that, I have kept some of these in here. So, Squirrel, Revenge, is Ancient Secret. Ancient Secret is the other one. So, these 3 I exported and kept. I actually took Bertarella and Bobring, I think, out of this game. No, actually, Bobring, I think, from a different game. It's in this one as Bobring 4th, which is why we can't retire to the game pool. But yeah, full transparency. I'm trying not to miss anything. I wanted to get up to 2025, and if I had a Derby capable runner, in my estimation, like a top 5, top 6 sort of finish in the Kentucky Derby, then I would have, recorded the first video earlier. And I did try at one point when I thought I might have a runner in the build up to it, but really I didn't enjoy what was happening in the game there. I just seemed to lose everything, um, every race, and so I just put them in the breeding barn, or just retired them completely at that point, because I had some good 2-year-olds which have turned into good 3-year-olds and now good 4-year-olds, which did end up on the transfer list, and they're just here so we can take a look at them. But we will be retiring these 3 this season. Ancient Secret will be going into the breeding barn. I'm not sure if we're going to do it day 1. They might be joining this list of breeders. But yeah, we can't breed with 4 of them, so we've got 5 we can book against certain horses. Ancient Secret might be another one to add to that list, and these 2 are probably just going to end up going out of the game. But these are my best horses I've had up until this point, so I kind of want them here so we can take a look at them, what's happened, where I'm happy, where I'm disappointed. So yeah, I think that's important to go over as well. And so let's start booking some races. Let's take a look at then at the 4-year-olds. I have ordered them from age, not by clicking this button, but actually if you go and put them out to grass and then pull them back out, it'll always put them at the bottom of this list, automatically sorted them. So I've put, the colts, the fillies in that order, and also by age, so 4, 3, and 2. So everything is nicely organized. If I'm looking for a certain horse, I'm going to be able to find it easily in that list. So it's just a little tip out there for you guys as well. So start at the top of the list. 4-year-old colt, Eurythmic Squirrel from Simple Rhythm, which is where we get Eurythmic, I guess. Because I've left the auto name on most of these horses, to be honest with you. I think all apart from Bobring fourth, which I just added the fourth on because Bobring, right? I think so. But yeah, and Invincible Force was like the season one breeder that I went for because I really, really liked it. I thought that it had some Group One wins. It had at that time the highest win rating, and oh yeah, I have no idea where the rest of those races have gone. But there's a couple more that they could have won. I think there's like 2/3 and a second, which again would have put it up like maybe possibly in if those races had gone slightly differently, a 6-win horse. So season one, that's a really good one, like above 125, right distance, and 5 to 6 grade one wins potentially. And it turned out to be a really good breeding horse. We can see we've got a lot of distance right now. We've been running at a mile two, and we weren't really good enough at the start of the year to like work into Derby contention. But by the end of the year, we dead heat. It was only a dead heated and only ahead from third, but it's technically a win. It's technically a win for the Breeders' Cup Classic, which is crazy. And I think we win all 4.2 million there. Maybe we share it. I've really never looked into that. Um, yeah, I've never looked into that. 600, 720, like nothing else would be any money whatsoever. So about 720. So that 4-2 would put us about 5.9, which means the rest of the races combined is another 300 grand. That sounds about right to me. That sounds about right to me because we came second here for 300 grand. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think the rest is chump change. So yeah, it's good to know if you dead heat, you actually get the full prize money. So if it's a four-way dead heat, then they all technically win. Then the person that's organising the races, at least in the game world, would theoretically be paying out 4 times the prize money for first, which would probably bankrupt them. That is awesome. I love that. I love that. I think if I was programming a game like this, it would probably be only able to be a three-way dead heat, um, and figure out behind the scenes how you're going to decide that. Mathematically, how many decimal points you go to get to it, etc., for how quick each horse was, um, and so on and so forth. But then, yeah, if it's three horses, you take the top three prize money amounts. So in this case, it was 4.2, 1.61, and 700,000. Combine those, divide them by three. Each of the horses at dead heat, they would have got that. In this case, there's only two, so it'd be the 1.61 and the 4.2. So what's that? 5.81. So 2.95, 2.905. Sorry. Yeah, I think so. So 2,905,000 each. I think that would have been kind of fair. Maybe that's how they do it in real life. I'm not really sure. I'm not up to speed on any of that. But it's nice to know. It's nice to know. But a good horse, very solid, runs at a mile two. So that's what we're going to be looking at. There's only 6 races. There's not going to be much start of the season. And when we look at group races, there's only 3. It's a good horse. It's one grade one. I don't like going backwards on grades. I hardly ever do it. So we're going to ignore that grade 3. We're going to ignore that grade 2 and that grade 2. So there's nothing for Eurythmic Squirrel in this first month of racing. Um, Cumulus Revenge. Did I show Eurythmic? I don't know. We'll come back to that. Yeah, this is Eurythmic Squirrel. So it's like a little over an 80 realized potential. And again, for those that don't know, I will call this full bar, this dark color, as the horse's ability instead of realized potential, and the absolute potential, which is light, I just call potential. Um, and it's worth noting as well that's only seasonal. There will be an absolute, what I would call an absolute potential, which is the absolute best it can get to, that's hidden in the game. And each season, the amount of potential you're allowed to grow. And let me grab one of the 2-year olds that's going to have distance. You can see here the dark bar goes up to about 50, and the light bar goes just a touch over 80% here. So within the 2-year old season, theoretically, even if its potential is maxed at 100% behind the scenes, you're only ever going to get to that 80-81% that it's showing you here. This is the potential you can get to in the season. This is the seasonal growth, is another way to think of it. And when it turns 3-year old, however far up this bar you've now got from your starting point, well, that'll become your starting point next season, and you may or may not gain more potential to grow for that season. Um, and that bar will increase as a 3-year old, possibly as a 4-year old. I have seen it once as a 5-year old, but that was on an older version. I'm really not sure how old it gets to. I usually think it maxes out as a 3 to 4-year old, depending on the horse and if you're able to keep winning, because that's a big part of going. The other thing to remember is roughly 20% is the actual seasonal max. So even though the bar here shows we could go from 50 to 80, we can't, even if we were able to run every day and we won grade ones by a mile every time, we would still only ever get to that 70%. So that's worth realizing as well. So you kind of have to judge your horses on that. So Rhythmic Squirrel, pretty much maxed out. That looks like a tiny little bit to gain this season. But yeah, this old class is an 80. Yeah, I like the rounds. So 80 ability horse, max potential for the sake of argument. You like battling qualities. You like cruising burst. You want, I want at least 70 extra speed and 70 potential slash ability on the horse. Minimum of 50 ability as a yearling to 2-year old, and then at least 60 ability as a 3-year old, and at least 70 as a 4-year old. So it needs to have the potential to grow into as you go along. A deterioration I don't worry about because I don't race them probably beyond age 5 or 6. Usually they'll end up in the breeding barn or just out of the game, so I've got newer horses to go through. Everybody else, if you look at the trainer list, has like 135 horses in its racing barn, and then 66 in the breeding barn, and it's got 50 yearlings. Now, we have 17 in the racing barn. We have 10 in our breeding barn. We have 5 yearlings. We deal with far lower numbers. Ain't nobody got time to book for 200 horses. I'm sorry. I just can't. So yeah, this one basically only just hit the extra speed. Enthusiasm's really nice to have, so is confidence, but they're very much tertiary abilities at best for me. But I need them to have full finish. So really, it's a full finish application, 70 extra speed, which is, this one just about gets over, and 70 potential as a 2-year old, which we had. And then distance, going adaptability really helps, especially with Triple Crown, like we say. We're moving from around 1 mile, 1 furlong to a mile, 4 furlongs. That's a pretty big gap, 3 furlongs. It's a really big gap in racing terms. So the balance between the speed and the stamina you need for each of those two races is kind of wild, to be fair. So it's nice to have. You don't need to have it. Juvenile constitution, how much you can race basically as a 2-year old, and then maturity rate, how quickly it grows, and how good it's going to be earlier on in his career compared to whether you have to wait for it or not. So again, fairly tertiary, but decent cruising burst on this one. Basically hit minimums on everything else. A little bit more potential than needed, but this is kind of my base horse. Like, if you look at these abilities, this is kind of basically what I'll run. I don't worry too much about speed, acceleration, or the start, because if you've got these abilities, you're probably going to have okay here. Obviously, the more, the better. Stamina is just your distance, so if it's up to 10%, then that's a 5 or 6 furlong horse. 20% is a 7 furlong to a mile, because it's 8 furlongs in a mile, so basically 7 or 8. The breeding gets us 1-1, which could be a 25, or it could be as much as a 50. It's very fluid in this weird. It's very weird. It's very tight down here, and then when you get stamina, the range is really kind of more fluid, and I think the distance adaptability comes more into play at those stages. When you start hitting 55 to 65, you're probably a mile 3, possibly a mile 4. If you get 65 and above, you could be looking anywhere from a mile 4 to 2 miles, realistically, which is, again, just wild. There's a few foreign races at that at that length. I know in Australia, I think there's like 2 miles 3, 2 miles 6, etc. Japan, there's a couple of big feature races at 2 miles. Apart from that, there's not that many. And I know, and that's on the flats, which I play on flats, so no jumps or anything like that. Um, which American racing is. And as I say, with the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown being my ultimate goals, then you play basically in America. So yeah, the Grand National is fun. It's very difficult to breed for, and again, you got a jumping bar here and some jumping ability and potential here, which I don't really like pay attention to at all. If you're playing jumps, you're gonna have to. Can't really help you with anything on that side of things. But yeah, so that's your rhythm scroll. Like I say, basic level of my horses. Oh, we will say, yeah, did okay. 2 grade 1s, grade 2, grade 3. You can see struggled to win a maiden, ran green, and then we forged clear 3 3/4 lengths. So I know I've got a really good 2-year-old on my hand. Have to wait a while then before I find a grade 3 that I liked, and we ran well. We just couldn't quite get there. As a big feature race though as your first one, and then just a normal one for grade 2, and again we win by some distance. I'm like, okay, maybe we can do something, but foreign feature races are really tough. Especially I find the yeah, the Saudi races, the Dubai races, and sometimes the British or French races. Royal Ascot at like sprint distances, 5 6 furlongs, I find a lot easier as a 2 or 3-year-old. I find those really easy so far, but like any distance race become really tough. And South Africa early in the season is difficult, but later on isn't. Again, your mileage might vary, but like really decent. Then we start winning. Then the Grade 2, the Charles Whittingham. We kind of finding our levels. Grade 1, the Pacific Classic. Beating a really nice horse in Cashler, to be fair. I really like Cashler. Not a top horse, but pretty good. And then the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Big race. I'm beaten by Scribano, who is just. It's excitable, so I would never have an excitable horse. But boy, are they good. If they were laid back instead of excitable, you're probably looking at a monster. And then an actual monster in Petit d'Argent, because they won the Derby with 3.5. Then they move to the Preakness, they win that by 1 3/4. And you look at these horses, like there's pretty much the same horses. And one of the ones that came third in the Derby, close but not great, but has the distance, just beat them. We could have had a Triple Crown winner in the game. We could have had a Triple Crown winner. And Petit d'Argent, oh no, they retired it out the game. Why is the horse expired? Does a Derby winning horse that also won the Preakness and came second in the Belmont, and this idiot retired it and didn't even breed from it? There's no breeding. They just. I was really hoping it would come up for auction, which is going to be ultra rare, or at least they'd breed from it, and I could maybe then buy one of the foals at auction. That's really upset me. That was my like number one horse in the entire game. Not the best horse, but like the number one I wanted to breed from because of the Triple Crown races. I am, I'm a little bit upset about that one. a little bit upset about that one. Yeah, moving on. Who cares about anything else? Sad, sad. Accumulus Revenge, good speed, good acceleration. We're at about that 20%, and so yeah, we're looking at that mile, basically 7 furlongs to a mile. I ran at a mile and just kept winning. It's never lost a race. Won the maiden by a decent amount. Went to Royal Ascot. You know, won by an absolute mile. And we won another grade 2 because there weren't any grade 1s to run. I wanted to get in another run in. And then, back to Britain for Newmarket. Got up in a tough little sprint race. Moved down to 5 furlongs. Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Won that just about. Down to South Africa for the Queen's Plate. Decent little win there. The Shoemaker, Yasuda, which is, as we say, one of the big races there. St James's Parlour, back in Ascot once again. We nailed another win. The Secretariat, my favourite horse ever of all time, and my obsession with the Kentucky Derby is, I'd say, about 25% based on Secretariat's Triple Crown that they won. I think 70 what? 70. Let me think. I always want to say 73 or 76. I think it's 73. I think it's 73. Anyway, I think it hadn't been won for. I, again, I'm not sure. I think it's like 20 or so years. I'm. Mm. But yeah, anyway, it's basically the fastest ever Kentucky Derby run. It's I think the fastest ever at the Belmont Stakes, so it ran the fastest in like the first and the third legs of the Triple Crown, including the mile and four Belmont, which is unofficially titled the Graveyard of Champions because there's been lots of horses that have won, at a mile two and a mile one in the Derby and the Preakness, and then it's really tough to win the Belmont. They're all quite quick as well. I think it's 2 weeks between each of them, so there's not a ton of downtime. Um, yeah, it's very interesting, very interesting race, and like Secretariat's story, and the way that they read them. The film is pretty good. There's a film named Secretariat. It's a Disney film. I think that's a really, really good sports movie. So that would be worth checking out if you're interested. The other 75% of it comes from a book called The Race by Eunice. Walk Up and Oscar Otis, I want to say. I think that's like a 1970s written book, and it's a fictionalized Kentucky Derby that there's all kinds of nefarious activity and craziness going on, and there's like legal issues, and there's like 5 or 6 different storylines, both with people going to watch the race, people and things happening around the race and the racetrack, even though they're not directly. I guess they're kind of directly tied to the race, some of them, but not all of them. As well as the jockeys, the owners, trainers, um, and the president of Churchill Downs, where the Derby race takes place. So yeah, there's all sorts of things in that book. I love that book. It's one of my favorite kind of books, just comfort reads, I would say. And so between those, that's why I love them. So I like being in that kind of race. So yeah, Secretariat. Nice that we were able to win that one. Again, we're quite close in a lot of these races, within half a length in most of them. So a really nice horse, easier to find races for, but like not easier to win. We did really well. Break the Chain was, I think, season one, second place by behind the Movable Force. High potential. We've realised most of that potential now, so we're 90% ability, not really much to show about anywhere else. 80 extra speeds, a little more than we'd need, but a full finish and consistency. It's a solid horse, and we should be able to find something at a mile, even if it's only the Omrance Plate once again. Short field, couple of Grade 1 winners. We should be the best horse in this field. We should. Doesn't mean we're going to win it, but we've at least we're at least going to give ourselves a chance in that race. Also, the way I'm booking it, because 3-year-old seasons are more important than 4-year-olds. 3-year-olds are the most important, to be fair, because that's the only age you're allowed to run in the Triple Crown races. So we're entirely focused around getting a good 3-year-old, as many good wins, and boosting their stats to the point where we can run in those races. So if there is another one that we find that needs to run a mile, and I think could win this race, I even though I've just booked the Cumulus Revenge in, I'd be very happy to remove them and book the other horse in his place. I don't like running multiple horses in the same race. If we really get to that point, then yeah, Triple Crown races would be a question. Although the Derby mainly, because if one of my horses wins the Derby, I don't really want to add competition for the Preakness and the Belmont to the point where one of my other horses could stop me from winning the Triple Crown that I otherwise would have got. If I'm beaten by another horse, that's fine. If I'm beaten by one of my others, especially Belmont, if I've got someone that's won the Derby and the Preakness, oh boy, I am not going to forgive myself very easily. So, yeah, yeah, that would be devastating. So multiple horses in the Derby is one thing. Preakness, very much more doubtful. The Belmont, if someone's won the first two, hell no, not going to happen. So we might come back and replace that one. Coming on to Ancient Secret then, again, very good sort of, 65 stamina. Still runs at a mile 2 very well. So that's probably where we're going to try and look for races at a mile 2, maybe a mile 3. Um, I think we could go a mile 1. I don't know. But again, I don't think there's any big races at Grade 1 at that distance. So the only 4-year-old booked in right now is a Cumulus Revenge, who could be done. Um, and the Ancient Secret was the one we bought for 500 grand. Very good potential. Meets the extra speed, the full finish, and the rest of the bars to a certain degree don't matter too much to me. Um, and yeah, when you're when you're breeding, you'll get good things. But 50% cruising burst is really good. I think the highest I've ever seen in one of my horses was 65. And I've played a ton of this game. So 50 is really high. Same with battling qualities. Like 35 is really high. It's so rare. Um, so decent horse. County Firm, yeah, solid horse. Not really been raced much as a 2-year-old. I don't know much about this horse yet. I know that it dominated kind of a couple of these early races and then like didn't start well. We missed the break, but we weren't up against a horse that ran well itself, and we only short-headed. We were a little bit, you know, wound up. You can see like a tiny faint pink arrow. That means we're a little bit agitated at the start of the race. But we did dwell, we dwelt in this one, which means we were late out, and we only won this because of a disqualification. But I will take it. I will 100% take it. And then in this one, pretty decent for the juvenile. It's usually, all the best go into this, and pretty big field as well. So I'm I'm fairly happy with it. We got basically a grade 1 and 102 rating at the end of their 2-year-old season. I do tend to look for 100 rating and at least a grade 3 because it can be tough to find races. So the fact that we got up and did okay, I'm pretty happy. It looks like we're at that 20% stamina bar. So we're looking at 7 furlongs to a mile, which is what we got to at the end of the 2-year-old. That didn't change. 75, 76 ability, 82 potential. So, you know, at 1 win, 2 wins would probably max out, so we don't need to go crazy on running this horse. But if it gains stamina and therefore becomes eligible for the Derby, at least to the point where we maybe can finish top 5, maybe we throw it in. I've yet to decide. I've yet to decide. A couple of decent horses it's bred from. It doesn't have amazing stats again, but like it's got that 80% extra speed now and 80 potential that we can, fill out before the Derby probably. Full finish, full consistency. Doesn't have the distance to really do all 3 Triple Crown races. We would give it a shot though. If it did win the first 2, of course, I'm not going to hold anyone back, even if they're nowhere near the stamina needed, because you never know. So very solid indeed. I kind of like this horse a little bit. I definitely think that we'd give it a chance. Um, if we got to the Triple Crown races, I think this is going to be the plate, isn't it? So let's just unbook the 4-year-old and book the 3-year-old in. And who would probably bred from the tour? Yeah, I think we're just going to do this. We're going to put him in the breeding barn. We'll figure that out later. We'll just keep it a 3 and 2-year-olds, which is kind of usually my default anyway. So let's just keep it there, shall we? Um, so Krabby's another solid horse, great starts, definite room to improve. Not amazing, but can run on any track. Like I said, we're probably at that mile 2, which is a jump from last season, and into Triple Crown range. So yeah, we look at this now. Is this a Triple Crown contender? Good speed, decent acceleration, great start. Got the distance. Has won a grade 1. Solid, made nothing special. And then against basically a bunch of nobodies in a grade 1 in France. It's very hard to judge. It really is. I mean, we did win by 2 3/4, and we dwelt, and better for run means that we ran green. We ran green, very green, which means like probably at 50% or so. Um, and even though it was a nothing field, we still dominated. So who knows? Like, I really don't know what this horse is. If I can fill this potential up, I think with a little bit of cruising burst, 75% extra speed. Oh, that would be an interesting one. I don't think there's going to be any graded races that we can run at any distance. So yeah, again, Bedouin Laugh has kind of fallen into that same range, and again, similar. Doesn't have the start. Very similar indeed. If we look at all this, very very similar. So again, another one we might be able to run in the Derby this year, and Bobering fourth looks like it's a miler. What's that 7? It's a grade 3 and a grade 2. It's a grade 3. There's the Ormerance Plate, which I'd rather run Country Firming because I think it's a better horse. And all these are grade 3s. I'd rather run a grade 3. Also, I'm not sure if this one's going to be ready for the 6th. I'm not going to run before the 6th. So I'm going to go to the 5th and save because we might want to book Bobering 4th in to the 6th instead. Let's see. Fit and ready to race. Okay, so we're good to go there. So we continue as we planned then with a grade 3 over a mile. And sure, it's a feature race. It's against. I'm in Toma. I'm torn because like there's a grade 3, but there's grade 1s running because there's no grade 1s. There's no grade 1 races. There's grade 1 horses, and a grade 2 are running in a grade 3 because of that. So we could run this. We wouldn't learn anything. We just gain a grade 3. Same kind of with that one. We'll kind of see how these horses run. They will be overweight. They will be high weight because we'll be. It's not the horse I wanted to do in that one, is it? So Bobring at a mile, yes. So yeah, we'd be 9.6. We'd be 3 pounds heavier. 6 pounds heavier than normal is a grade 2, and 9 pounds heavier is going to be a grade 1. So a little bit of a balancing factor. A little bit. But if we can't do anything here, we know that we're like so far off a grade 3, we might not. Off a grade 1, that we might not win more than the grade 2 this season until the end anyway. So even if we got the distance, we'd be out of the Triple Crowns. A Bygone Zero, very solid, and a ton of stamina. So possibly a grade 1 winner that can go a mile 4. Does this one have distance adaptability? I can't remember. A tiny bit. Okay, a tiny bit's okay. Now, what you really want to hope for here is that this is like a mile 3 horse. Because it's got the stamina and the adaptability to move to a mile 4, and should be able to get down to a mile 2, which the Preakness isn't far away from anyway. The Preakness might be the issue here. We might want more distance, and again, we still got a lot of potential to make up, but again, it's another one that's not out of the running at the start of the season. That's kind of where we want to be. It's run quite well. There's not going to be any races. It's all short horse stuff early on in the season. Um, that's fine. Tony Waters. Ugh. Yeah. So I don't love the acceleration. Again, could be in that range. Could be a closer. Bit of cruising burst. It's not a bad horse. Just not a great horse. And again, there's nothing to run. And this is just going to be a sprinter. It's going to be 5 to 6 furlongs. Yeah, this looks like a 6 furlong horse. Could be a really nice sprinter, but the big races just aren't at this kind of distance, and I just don't know if we're gonna get more than that. It's used to running at 5, so I'd like to run at 5, but there isn't any. It's one a grade 2. There's only going to be the grade 3s, and this is going to be the same. I think this is my favorite horse. Like I'm upset that it doesn't have distance and it'll never get distance probably. But this was always one of my favorite horses where I just felt everything's a bit more developed here. It's probably not my best horse because it doesn't have cruising burst or battling qualities. But it could be 85% potential. Again, it's another sprinter. We don't love that. We really don't. I know the only thing we're guessing here is 5 or 6 furlongs for these horses, so we can kind of see, like, it's a miler. It's probably going to be a 6. It's probably going to be a 6. Doesn't look amazing. It's 50 to 70, so it's bare minimum there. It's got a lot of extra speed though. It's 90 odd percent extra speed rating. It's got a bit of adaptability. It doesn't really matter what we run this as. So let's just run it at 6 because I seem to run a lot of 5s. Let's put it in a later one because it's going to need a few days. It's not fully even green yet, and even at green that might need a day or two. So let's book these ones down first. So Sanat Svelta is another break the chain with high acceleration more than speed. So again, and the fact that it's 7 furlong, like I'm thinking this might be a 5 furlong horse. Doesn't look that special. What's that? It's on the 11th. I kind of like to split them up if I can. I'm gonna go to the 13th because there's a 3 horse race here, so that will be the 4th. Kind of like that one. Kind of like that one. And then 5 Modern. It's a Safari team one. Okay. Yeah, a lot of potential. We're not going to hit that this season. Decent, but not amazing. I will say that this could be 5 or 6. It's got a mile. It's got a tiny bit of thing. I'm going to try at 6, I think. And we'll see where we stand. I'd love a 12th. I'd love one on the 12th. So we do that. We got 11, 12, 13 to book around with these 3. So these are fairly ready, or are they ready? This one's ready. We can go as early as we want here. Tons of acceleration. That usually would lead me to a 5. This would lead me to a 6. A little bit of adaptability. Solid. Nothing spectacular on this one. Good start, good acceleration. Even if it doesn't have top end speed or extra speed or cruising burst. Might be wiser. Might be wiser to go here. A 5 rather than 6. Let's set that one up. And then Terrible Pistols, breeding is a 6. Again, it's got high acceleration. I think this might be a 5, but I'm going to go 6 because this breeding indicator says 6. Looking at the horse, I would say 5. There's nothing here which would be more useful in terms of like distance at all. like cruising burst or great extra speed. It screams 5 to me. Breeding indicator says, I'm going to go 5. I'm going to go 5. I've talked myself into 5. Um, let's go the day before. Let's avoid the risk of shower, shall we? Let's avoid that. And then Zaynat Morton, who knows on this one? Probably 6. It's got a bit of distance in it. Its speed is higher than acceleration. Good start, solid, unspectacular. Maybe a little bit of cruising burst can help. I think 6 makes sense. And Headlad says raring to go, so we can go anywhere we want. We've got 6, we've got 8. Let's find 7. Let's find a 7. 12 horses. Ooh. No, yeah. Let's risk the rain on that one. We've avoided the rain, but now let's risk it. And I do sort here reverse order of fixtures, so I can kind of keep the unraced ones down below and keep an eye on them. So now we've booked everybody. We know what our horses look like. The 2-year-olds don't look great right now. And the 3-year-olds, I mean, there's a couple of milers that if they improve their distance could be really good, and there's a couple of ones that are at a mile 2 which should be good to run, and a mile 4 which should be probably good to run. Great to breed from with a sprinter as well, though. So in the future, that's a really nice asset to have in the barn either way. So really decent. So I just think we're going to jump through a bunch of these, and we will see where we are. We will see where we are. Let's get breeding first. Just top down. Let's have a look. So Ingleby Star is just a monster. 20 Group 1 wins. 26 out of 33 races won. Oh, we've got enough time. We can wait for this one to finish breeding, and then just put the next one in. It's a mile 4, which means this pairing would be a mile 4. This would be a mile 3 to a mile 4. This would be a mile 2 to a mile 3, which is the exact range we want to be in. This would be a mile 2, which I'm fine. This is a mile 2 to 3. Like, I'm okay with that. A mile 4 and 6 furlongs would be, what, a mile 2? That would be a mile 1 to a mile 2. Well, that'd be a mile to a mile 1, I think. Yeah, mile to mile 1. So, yeah, I might just hold off and just breed everybody to Ingleby Star. Eve's Era, Cumulus Revenge, which is our horse, which is pretty high up the list, to be fair. Island Melody, I haven't bred from. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 it could have won a grade 1. In different countries, it's all short order sprints, but it could be a really good sprint. Have I got anyone that's actually got distance? Yeah, Grandad's Dream we're going with. A mile 3 and 6 would bring me out about a mile 1, maybe. It's not a bad pairing if they hit that. This only hit a mile 2, so mile 2 and 6. Yeah, it's basically a mile. Um, we could do that. Let's do the tour with Island Melody. I'm second guessing like crazy here. Do I want to go Scribano instead? No. 6 and a 6. We know we're going to get a short order. We might make 7 furlongs there as well. And then these will be better ones to run with, because I kind of want to see what these are like. Oh, I did Greenock. I meant to do Scribbiano. I want to see what Scribbiano is. Maybe we don't breed them all together. How about that? How about that? Kind of want to see what Scribano's like. Because rating, seeking the gold, I think we did that last season. It didn't work out. So Cubism would be a new one. Because Eve's Arrow is just a very nice horse. Kind of tempted to go, look how many here. So third or second, and look at the distance. Oh my god, this is definitely a distance horse. I should have waited. This is why I normally look first, but I should have bred 1 or 2 of these to Cubism. Do we just send? Horse with distance, Officer Lily I like, so Cubism. Why not? A mile 1 with a mile 3 would get me a mile 2, theoretically, so River Breeze is not a bad partner there, and then we can, if these come off the list somehow, then we can breed with them later on, but for right now, yeah. I'll keep the top 2 for Ingleby Starks. I think that's just a monster. So as many of those I can breed with a horse like Ancient Secret, like, I think that would be really good. We'd be able to tell, because this is basically, again, another minimums, apart from Cruising Burst. Like, there's not much there. And then Crygrows, again, not too much extra speed, not too different in Cruising Burst. Everything else is kind of middling. Nothing stands out and is super fantastic. 80%. Was that 80% potential? 85. An Ancient Secret is 80. So between those two, and then Grandad's Dream, which doesn't have the extra speed. I just wanted to see, I just bought this one. Kind of wanted to see what it could turn out. Because it's got great distance adaptability and Cruising Burst. So yeah, I think they've all got a bit of Cruising Burst, and we've got a mixture of other things. This loses the extra speed but has great distance. The others are kind of normal-ish. We should be able to figure out roughly what Ingleby Star looks like. So I'm kind of happy that, like I said, we'll keep those 2 up and away. And the 6. We got 2 on the 6, but it's fine because we're only watching 1 of them. Let me save in case it crashes, because it's not the most stable. I will say that. There's definitely times when it decides to go off. So here's the maiden. I'm not going to watch this maiden. We don't know anything about these horses or ourselves. We're going to skip the result. Hopefully we win. Second by a half a length. Couldn't quite get there. We basically ran the entire race and then couldn't get up. We don't have our horse, of course. We don't have our jockey on it. So with our jockey, that probably would win, and maybe it's not being run correctly. So what's the feedback? Trip appeared to suit well, so we'd probably just put it in as another 5. So let's see. And in case it crashes, we don't want to redo that race. So we will save the game here. And yeah, we're not top rated horse. We're second. There's a very lightly raced horse that Shacumulus Revenge beat last year. Okay. How much by? 3/4 of a length. And Revenge is decent. Revenge is decent, but I think so's Country Firm. So interested. Fajar Gale has run this a bunch before. So 3 horses at the distance, 1 on this course. 1 has blinkers, which is the highest rating. We are the youngest. We are the lowest weight by far. Um, we're the best form. There's 1 unraced. A lot of questions in this one. A lot of questions in this one. So yeah, keep an eye on Zero Money for sure. Prima Figlia is the other raced horse at grade 1 levels 1. Fisher Gale has been here before, and 20 hasn't run at all. Silver Phoenix didn't do anything at a little bit extra length. Let's have a look then. Let's have a look. Lombarines Queen's Plate in South Africa. 1 mile, class 1, grade 1 for 3-year-olds and above on the B track of the turf course. And we are favourites. So we're not high rated, we're low weight, second rated, and favourites. And they're off. And we go to the back. Here we go now then. Long turn here. See, we got Fair Gale and Primo Figlia at the beginning. Zero Money alongside us. The definite danger horse, I think. Silver Phoenix, 20 short kids. At the back, not the horses that I'm worried about. And 2 furlongs from home now. Zero Money in the lead. We're coming up now into 3rd place. A long way behind, though. We need an absolute storming final furlong. Zero Money from Prima Figlia. Half a furlong. We're dipping off the back. It's not going to be our day. We left it way too late. That's annoying. Oh my god, we had so much pace at the end, but we just... That just feels like the jockey got that so wrong the way that ran. Not quick enough? I don't know about that. I think if we'd have challenged earlier, we would have had a chance. Challenge at 1, not 0.3. Oh, I'm annoyed. I'm really annoyed. 2.2 lengths back. That's just like a free win for Zero Money because we didn't challenge. Risner's close out possibly suited. I'm not sure it did. Even if it did, you should have gone earlier. Yes, that's a little bit disappointing. And already, the first of our 3-year-olds that was unbeaten has now lost that record, which is probably going to happen to all of them. But still, just okay. Sales. I mean, there's a unraced 3-year-old, a mile 7 filly, grade 1 sire, unraced. I kind of want to see. 1.2. Yeah, okay, mile 7 with a full bar. That's a 2-miler, that is. I mean, probably not in the Triple Crown races at that. But is it something to breed from? Something to breed from like a really good sprinters, 5 and 6 furlongs. No, no, it's not. It's got full finish. It's got, oh my god, it's got a ton of cruising burst. To get to my 70, 75, I'd need like a 90 to 95 potential. It's kind of tempting, which is kind of tempting. Because I do have that in a Cumulus Revenge. Give it a year, give it one breeding chance. Why not? Okay, so I do tend to save after every game. It doesn't take long, so I'm gonna say we're just not gonna have to redo a bunch of progress and lose races we should have won, especially the big races, or win races we shouldn't have, or we didn't the first time round. So yeah, so Zaynat Morton. That's a third. Ooh. 0 for 2 in here. Please tell me that's 5. No, that's a 6. I don't love it. I don't love it. Book the 16th here. Book the 17th there. Third time's a charm. Fistful Vindication. Yes, 1. 1 of 5. We got that right. Spot on. Lovely horse. 4 lengths. That's a nice 2-year-old. That's a really nice 2-year-old. Get a good couple of races. Get that potential up. We'll see what it looks like as a 3-year-old. But okay. We got a second and a third. And then we win our first maiden there. Can we make it 50% of maidens 2 and 2, please? No, we're moving backwards. It likes a good track. It had a good track. Trip suited perfectly. Eight lengths back. Okay. I'm gonna try at 5. But like ultimately, I'm not confident. And that one might just end up getting removed from the game, to be fair. That might end up getting removed. Next sale I care about is 20 seconds. So it's after all these races. Third. Oh, we're not hitting our maidens better for run. Iran Green. 3.5 lengths. Benefit from the runs. Yeah, Iran Green, that's about 2.5 lengths. So we'd be a length behind. No extra. Maybe it's a 5. Maybe it's a 5. I mean, might have to go to the 20th. There aren't any 20th. Please. Svelta. Please. Faded. I'm gonna try the 6. This is the most confusing time I ever have is with the maidens. Like, you just never know what's coming up. You just have no idea. Could have had grade 2s. Could have had 2 grade 2s. Definitely wasn't good enough to win the juvenile. But again, this is why I like playing with a ton of money, because find it really interesting to see these horses come up, and I just want to see what's there. Chestnut bird, ton of stamina. Like I'm always interested. There's always something about these horses that catches my eye, and I don't know what it is. But usually there'll be something interesting. They won't be great horses. This one's okay. It doesn't have full finish, but it's got distance and a ton of cruising burst, ladies and gentlemen. That's gonna have to be bred with someone. Let's put Ingleby Star there, and let's. I mean, Revenge is going to be there next year, right? Revenge is going to be there next year. Island Melody got one in fall to them. Elton I've bred with previously. Nothing else kind of is jumping out at me here. Like 16 to 28, 28 to 33, 13 to 23. I was going to say 12 to 12. That's magnificent. That's my horse. Yeah, that'll happen more for us than it will for them. I don't see anything I love. And since Ingleby is tied up, I'm just going to go back to Eve's Error on that one and see. Because we might get something fun out of that one, technically. Terrible Pistol. Second chance at a maiden. Oh, you're kidding me. You're another second place. 3 lengths behind. Let's just book that for a while away. We're not going to get into February. Saying that Morton wins. Okay, so wins a second maiden. Dead heated. That's really not good. Not much room, so that's maybe half a length to a length. Didn't have a great start, maybe. Maybe acceptable at some level, but I don't love it. Bobring fourth. This is a 3-year-old. Like to watch them run early on and check out the field. So, yeah, it looks like that'll do for me. Carol is agitated and unsettled for Satanic Macrae and Jubel Talent. And Mutajasa Blind. Okay. That's the top weighted horse. We are overweight, but only just. It's going to be a really, really interesting one. Center of the course is better ground. Do we like better ground? We do. We like a good track. So let's put on the center. Let's go see. Let's see what happens here. So the Lecomte 1 mile, 110 yard, grade 3s for 3-year-olds on dirt. Big scary field of grade 1 winners. We're at the chutes on the rail, and we are a little slow out of the blocks, but we're going to go towards the back anyway naturally, so it's not the worst thing in the world. We're not going to get blocked off, and we're going to have the easiest bend being on the inside, so don't mind that. We're there with the leaders of the chasing pack. Mutasher Blind just there with us. So that will be for me, Carol, ahead with Jubel Talent and Satanic Macrae. So I think I've just named all the agitated horses, and they're all up early. Final furlong, we're having to come towards the outside. We might get blocked off a little bit. We come up the inside there. We're running decently. Looks like Jovial Puzzle there as well with us, but we're going to take second. That's not a bad result. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. Pildusky drumming. kind of went out a little early, stayed out, and we get second by a length and a half against the Grade 2 horse. Hmm. Not a lot I'm learning from that one. Not a lot I'm learning from that one. Okay. Turgeman. Okay, can run 5 or 6. Just didn't run well. That's going to be a third maiden. Put that in February. I got 9th and 10th, I think. Yeah, 9th and 10th of Feb. Okay. 5e modern, please. Oh, we got some really interesting horses. We got a green horse that I know can win. I know we can win. Don't know whether it's a 5 or a 6. I'm going to gamble on a 6. We're going to put that on the 11th of February. If there's a nice fit. Yes, there is. It's a short field. Why not? And then 2-year-old sales. There's a 2-year-old here with a high reserve, laid back, and a grade 2 sire. I mean, if I was buying one, I'd buy that one. I'm going to buy them all just so you can all see kind of what they look like. I might have gone for this one anyway because it's got high breeding indicator. But yeah, this money allows me to kind of buy out auctions. And when you buy out auctions, you get to see what's there and you don't miss a potential horse that you could really enjoy. And I'll always go to like 2.32 or 2.33. Another laid back horse. So yeah, if it goes to, I think it's 100,000, then 230, 350, 550, 650, a million. The ranges change then, but as soon as it approaches like 1.9, you're usually going to go to 2.3. So that's going to be it. Yeah, like all of these had like really good reasons to go for them. This maybe is the first one that doesn't. It's maybe the first one that doesn't. Yeah, this one I might not have gone for this one normally either. So let's say Rhea and Bodicea, we wouldn't have usually gone for an excitable. We're just not going to go for. Might be a really good horse, but it's excitable. I'm not breaking my rule. So the one we wanted, because it looked interesting from a breeding point of view, is okay. Like full finish, decent extra speed, nothing special, but like looks okay. My only issue is, as a 1-year-old and 2-year-old, I am looking for 50 ability, 70 potential, and we're just over 45 to 65, so we're just short on both, and I am that fussy. Um, so I will just throw away the money, because money isn't what this game is about for me. Um, but yeah, that came close. That came really, really close. Mile 4. Yeah, no finish, no ability, no need to look further. O'Hara was okay, laid back, but a short order horse, absolutely terrible. Expected better. Briefcase, cruising burst, but nothing else. And then the two I wouldn't have gone for normally. Not that the ones I like, the one I targeted looked pretty good, and the other ones just not at all that I could have talked myself into. But yeah, the two that I said at the auction, at the bidding, that I would not be talking myself into were absolute trash. The ones I could have talked myself into were not very good. The one I went into the auction thinking I'd want, I did, and the other one was excitable, and we talked ourselves. Well, we didn't talk ourselves out of it. We just, that was never going to be a factor anyway. And the last race for January, Sanad Svelta. That's another second. Ooh. Furlong shorter. Going didn't suit. It looks a good track that was muddy. And it wants to run at 5. Which, to me, is like one of the easiest things to solve. What have we got? 9, 10, 11. So what's 8th look like? 8th could be fine. See, that's the first month racing done. I mean, that's the barn. That's kind of what we look like. Um, yeah, the 3-year-olds. We'll see. Can't all fit them on one page. We'll see. A couple of interesting runs. Like Bobering 4th, I think, could maybe win a Grade 2. Probably short of a Grade 1 right now. Country Firm has won a Grade 1 and like wasn't a million miles away from that one. I think we just run wrong to a certain degree, so that could still be another horse that, like I say, if we gain some more potential in that stamina, we fill out that little bit here. Triple Crown isn't a million miles away. Like Crabby's, we don't know, but has the distance, and if we gain that potential, could be a nice option to have. Better and Laugh has the distance, could fill out here again, could be another Triple Crown runner. Definitely has the distance, probably a little too much. We will see. But again, if we hit that potential there, it's another reason to run. Not a great looking horse, but like has a distance, so could run. Um, this one's out of it pretty convincingly. I was going to say Better and Laugh needs to gain distance, but we don't, do we? No, this one's also in that range. If it gets up there, yeah, this could be a nice horse, but it's just short order. And this could be a really nice horse, but it's short order. So I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, these two probably not. And the rest are all at range or could probably get to range and are good enough to at least run. So at the moment, I'll go out on a limb and say, if decision was today, I've got 4 runners. I've probably got 4 runners. If all of them are at their max potential before the Derby, I've probably got 5. And if Country Firm gains the distance, I've got 6. Now, if the Saxon and Candaria get distance, which they really won't, to be fair, but like it's technically possible, then we might have them all run, which would be nuts. That would be 8 runners in the Kentucky Derby. So I think realistically, we're probably looking at 5 or 6. And that's more than I've had in a long time. And this is season 6, so this is 5 years of breeding and building to get to this point, and like all from scratch. Nothing I've done you can't do apart from, if you don't cheat the money by watching races and then reloading to bet. But that's kind of an acceptable way to play this game in general. It always has been. So yeah, that's not bad, right? I'm okay with that. 10th of Feb is the next thing as well. So we can skip to the next. I don't know. I think we're in a good position. We could see our first Derby runner. I'm also very interested to see what you guys think might happen. Um, what do you see? Do you think that we could be already winning one of the Triple Crown races this season? Is one of these 3-year-olds kind of good enough? Do you think? If so, which one? I'd love to know that and your reasons why. Um, yeah, the three I'm the least convinced of are all unbeaten. The next one on that list I'd be unsure of might be Krabby's Down anyway, and it's. Well, no, to be fair, there'll be a couple others here as well. It's in the next tier, let's say. And then the two that I'd want the most would be Candaria Terry, who has no chance of gaining distance, and Krabby's Down, which I think we just don't know anything about. Ran a 5 maiden, won it. Ran a mile in France, and we don't know anything about that field, and won it. And we're not at either of those distances anymore anyway. But I do think with that start, that speed, like, if we fulfill this potential by May 2nd, I think the Kentucky Derby is in the schedule, then we have a shot. I think actually with Krabby's we have a shot. Country Firm, if we get that distance again, I like the speed, and there's nothing really wrong with this horse. I think we might have a shot. It's a shame. I mean, I think we're going to have to get a lot more breeders in the barn, because I'll always breed the Derby winning horse to every horse I've got in the barn. So as a colt, we need as many mares in there to breed from as possible. So we'll see kind of what happens with that. But yeah, that's going to be where we're going to leave it for now. Let me know though, comment section down below. Comment for the algorithm. As always, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't to be notified. I'm excited for this series. I hope you are too. It's been a while, but I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of playing this game, because I really do enjoy it. Until I burnt myself out in it last time, I played a whole lot, and got really far and built up a huge, set of transfer files to have all these horses to bring into other games, and I was having so much fun. And then I burnt out, and I stopped playing it for a long time. So it's back. So am I. I hope to see you around more. Until then, though, take care, and like I say, have your say, comment section down below. Support the series, push the algorithm. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. We're going to find out who's going to be our first Derby winner, or how close can we get this year. Gonna be fun finding out. See you then.